Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for 6 things that we learned from Chelsea 2, Watford 1. The Premier League final day is almost over. Aston Villa went 2-0 up at Manchesterr City. Man City now 3-2 up and they're about to be crowned champions. So, congratulations Manchesterr City, but Chelsea, at least we end the season with a win. Barkley comes off the bench, scores the winning goal after Kai Havertz scored in the first half. We had many other chances as well. One of those kind of games really where it was a formality. Watford already relegated. Chelsea already guaranteed to finish in third. And there wasn't really much entertainment other than waving goodbye to Rudiger. Probably waving goodbye to Azpilicueta, potentially as well. There are so many stories that might well have just been wrapped up in this game against Watford today, but we get the job done. We win. Arsenal and Spurs, how these guys have both managed to crumble towards the end of the season, but Spurs get top 4. Arsenal score 5 on the final day of the season, yet they still manage to miss out. Spurs get it done, so it's going to be City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal. And then you've also got Man United being beaten by Crystal Palace on the final day of the season too. But Chelsea in the game against Watford today. Watford, they gave it everything. You know, for a team that was already relegated, I did have a little idea in my head that we might have ended up hammering Watford today just to, you know, give everybody a big bow out for the end of the season. We've got a tour of the USA coming up in July, which is going to be interesting, of course. But this game just kind of fizzled out, really. And all of the real talk, if you're even watching this video, is about City winning the league, coming from behind, 2-0 down on the final day. Liverpool also come from behind on the final day, but they do not win the Premier League. Chelsea have got a lot of work to do if we are to match the kind of quality and consistency of both Liverpool and Manchesterr City. But without any further ado, we begin box number 1 with a green for Kai Havertz. It's so weird to think the season is over, but Kai Havertz has not been in the best form in recent weeks. He was struggling. Romelu Lukaku came back into the team, had a couple of good performances. Losing the FA Cup final was kind of the flat way to end Chelsea's season, really. But Kai Havertz today looks sharp. There are still moments where it looks as though that final pass, it does look like he can be a bit lazy. I know that people have said Kai Havertz isn't lazy. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a lazy player, but I do think sometimes when that final ball comes in, it was probably a lot to do with the way that this game was always going to be panning out today, because there isn't anything to play for, so there isn't really that urge to have to do too much. But Kai Havertz does get a goal, and it is a really, really good assist from Kenedy, who we're going to talk about Kenedy in a moment, but Havertz is there, right place, right time. He could have had a hat-trick today quite easily. He doesn't end up with a hat-trick, but he ends the season with a goal, 8 Premier League goals, of course. Throughout the course of the next week, between now and the end of May, there's going to be a lot of roundup videos here of this season, going into more details about individual players, about how we competed in all competitions. Kai Havertz scores, and he gets himself box number 1. We move into box number 2, and it is a green for Ross Barkley, because Ross Barkley is one of those players who, when we talk about pre-season, Ross Barkley seems to have this injection of form. And then all of a sudden, managers don't rate him. He very rarely gets brought off the bench. Earlier this season, he did have a couple of opportunities, but Ross Barkley scored today. And he gets Chelsea the winning goal in a game where, you know, if this would have finished 1-1, then we would have struggled once again to win our final 2 home games of the season. We still have only won 9 at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League this season. And what I liked about Ross when he comes on is there's very key elements of Ross Barkley's game that are very good. Having a shot is one of them. Having a decent long shot is also one of them. And he ends up getting the winner for us today. So as much as I don't think Ross Barkley is a Chelsea level player, and I do not think Ross Barkley will stay however many more years. I think he will go this summer. I think there will be Premier League clubs who are looking for a player of Ross's ability. But he gets the winner today, and it is box number 2. We move into box number 3. And it's a yellow for Kenedy. And I know that is super unfair. And maybe it's absolutely unfair and unnecessary of me, because he does get an assist on the final day of the season in a game that didn't really mean anything to Chelsea. But the reason I give him a yellow is because after 57 minutes, he is still on the floor, pulling his legs, because he's just not fit enough to do this. I know match fitness means he's got to be playing regular matches to be able to play a competitive game of football in the Premier League, but Kenedy is not a Chelsea level player. And this is just proof today that we are using up squad places to accommodate for players like Kenedy, when surely we'd have liked to have seen Harvey Vale, who gets Academy Player of the Year, but surely we'd have liked to see him play a little bit more today instead of Kenedy. Kennedy's been in the squads. We see him in training videos. We see he gets on very well with his teammates, but he's just not a Chelsea level player. We move into box number 4. It's a green for Tony Rudiger. Tony goes off after 65 minutes, and he gets a standing ovation, which I am delighted. Even though Stamford Bridge wasn't full, I am delighted that Tony Rudiger gets that standing ovation, because this man deserves it. Tony Rudiger, since Thomas Tuchel came in, has just been sublime. He's going to Real Madrid. There's absolutely nothing Chelsea can do about it. But even though we might be upset that he's not signing a new deal, people might be upset that Tony Rudiger maybe is too greedy. Maybe he wanted too much money, and if he really wanted to stay at Chelsea, he'd have looked at the contract Chelsea offered him and been like, I'm going to take this. This is a great deal and I love this club. People have this idea that because Rudiger's leaving, it's simply for the money. It's only because it's Real Madrid. But at the same time, when a player leaves, when his contract is expiring, when all of the external variables that have, without question, had the impact it's had on Rudiger. If you want to see the video I did about this earlier this week, I'll leave a link down below. But Rudiger gets a standing ovation. There wasn't much for him to do in the game today, but I also wanted to give him his own little ovation with box number 4 in this video today. No more Rudiger in 6 things we learned. This is a sad moment for everybody, but something that isn't sad is that Chelsea finished 3rd in the Premier League. City champions, Liverpool 2nd, Chelsea 3rd. It's a green box because, once again, Chelsea are the highest London club in the Premier League. We finished ahead of Spurs, ahead of Arsenal, everybody else. There wasn't really anyone who thought any different there, was there? Let me know in the comments if you did. But the fact that we finished 3rd, with the way that this season's gone, we're going to go into more detail about it. There's really not much more we could have expected. With Ben Chilwell and Reece James being out injured, when those players went out in December, it changed everything about our season. Chelsea were top of the league, and then we lost Chilwell and James, who were so key to what was successful to us earlier in the season. I do think it would be very foolish of us to sit here and say that unless there is serious enforcements brought in this summer, that Chelsea can compete with Liverpool and City. I think it is near impossible to get to that level unless Chelsea significantly improve this squad. But Thomas Tuchel, 2 trophies, 2 cup finals, finishes 3rd, quarter-final against Champions League finalists Real Madrid. It's not all that bad. Box number 6, I thought Saul did a good job today. To wrap up the 6 things we learned for this season, Saul is box number 6. I thought he had a good game, got into good shooting positions, was running around a lot, making slide tackles, making last-ditch interceptions. I thought Saul today, even though the whole season has kind of bypassed him a little bit, he's never really had that good of a run in the side. He was given the central midfield position today, which was the one that he thought he was going to be more regularly playing in for Chelsea. But we've seen him used as left wing back sometimes. He's not managed to really build upon any kind of significant form. But Saul today on the last day was probably Chelsea's best player. I gave him box number 6 because, to wrap up the season, 6 things we learned. Chelsea 2, Watford 1. Congratulations, Man City, but hopefully next year we will be challenging a lot closer with both City and Liverpool. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned this week. I'm going to go and rest the voice after what was a decent birthday weekend for one of my good friends. But that being said, the football, it might be over, but GBFC videos certainly won't be. So much to talk about with transfers, Todd Boehly's summer, and we've got to wrap up this season as well. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues.